Okay, so I'm going to be going through, it's only a half an hour workshop, so it's not very long, and it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind tour of Hambone percussion, body percussion. So my interest in it comes from the American clogging initially. I'm just putting my slippers on because it's really cold here. I'm in Derby, and we got the sun out, but it's a bit chilly in the flat. Anyway, so yeah, I do quite a lot of American clogging, and the music is very steeped in the Black African American culture. So within that, I then found myself getting really interested in the body percussion aspect of it, and I've done quite a lot of work with Keith, Terry, and Evie Ladin, who are over in Oakland, California, and they tour the UK every now and again. And they're real proprietors of body percussion, so they've got lots of information about body percussion worldwide. So this is just about Hambone. So you're very welcome to sit and relax a little bit. So you need to be somewhere comfortable, but somewhere where you've got a little bit of space so that you can access your legs. So that's going to be helpful. And I can see some of you are sat quite close together, so you might want to just make sure that you're not going to tap each other too much. And then there's a bit of a health and safety aspect. So if you've got rings on, I would advise removing your rings, and equally if you've got any jewellery around your neck, particularly if you've got pendants, just because we're going to be using this area a little bit as well. So I'd advise just to, if you can, remove your rings, but otherwise just be ultra careful, because when you start clapping your hands together, even just doing a clap can leave you with a little mark, so just be really mindful of that. Okay, so Hambone came about because of something called the Stono insurrection, which was in 1739. Basically, it was when the slaves of the era kind of retaliated and said, no, we're not going to be treated like this anymore. And as a result, what happened was that there was what was it called? I've got it written down. There was the 1740 Slave Code of South Carolina that prohibited the use of drums, horns, or anything. Okay, I'm just checking what I said there. I got distracted. Yeah, so that basically meant that drums, horns, any loud instruments were prohibited. So at no stage were the African slaves allowed to communicate with each other using louder instruments. So that became law. And being the creative people that they were at the time, they came up with a communication system that they used on their body. So they discovered that you can actually, we don't need drums, we've got our voices and we've got our bodies. So that's where it came from. So this is just a few basic rhythm patterns or ideas that came up. So we can all clap. Okay, so we're going to start warming up. So we'll just warm up the body and then we'll get into clapping. So I always like to just kind of get into a rubbing sound with the hands. So if you'd just like to kind of rub the hands together and just enjoy feeling the warmth as your hands start to feel that friction, a little bit of friction, but you're not pressing hard, but you will, if you listen closely, you can start to hear the skin making a really nice kind of scratching sound almost. Just allow that to kind of build a bit and get those hands nice and warm. And just rub them in different ways. We've all been doing our washing lately, our hand washing, so you can get in there and hand wash, get between the fingers. So you didn't know that Boris Johnson was getting you ready for this, did you? Just getting in there. He's starting to warm up. So we're going to start to warm up the wrists as well. So just allowing the wrists to become nice and loose. And then allow the elbows to join in with that. So you're just getting everything nice and loose, and bring the shoulders in as well, circling any way you want. You can kind of imagine you're swimming, whatever you want to do, just getting it all nice and warm. Okay, so we can clap. But how many different ways can you clap? So I'm going to just encourage you just for a moment to think about how your hands are clapping. Okay, so I always have my hands nice and relaxed because you get more sound when they're relaxed. If they're tense, it's kind of a little bit more difficult and it's a bit more controlled and it doesn't have the same feel. So you can get some really lovely sounds. So if you're in a concert or something and you've been clapping, you quite often will use the hands like this, and you cut and make a nice big sound there. So, yay! Give yourselves a round of applause, you've started. Okay, if you put your hands directly together so your fingers are overlapping, you can still create a different sound. So you start to try and cup the hands, but you've got a different sound. And then if you just offset the fingers slightly, you get a slightly different sound again. So you're just changing the tone very slightly. And then you can go into... So something I like to do is to almost allow the hands to do this kind of... They bounce off each other. So it's almost like you flick the fingers back, so you get a much louder sound. So you can really play with that. So that on its own is the basis of body percussion, is just using those hands. So you're not hitting hard, okay? You don't need to be hard. It's all about how you form the air pockets. So it's always about the air pockets. So skin on skin is ideal. And you can create a lot of air pockets in that. So we've got that as a starting point. Okay, are we warm? Are we ready? Can you do this? So you're pushing one hand down to the bottom and then transferring. Okay, so you're going from one side to the other. So you're just drawing your hands nice and relaxed. So you can see my hands they're not tight, but nice and relaxed. And you're just getting that nice movement, getting a bit of a flow. And then you're going to just let that get a little bit quicker. And as it gets quicker, you can just allow a pendulum to happen. Are you getting that? Now, if you walk down the high street doing this, you do get some funny looks. You get funny looks if you're applauding like this. Ah! So that's called the flipper flapper. Okay. It's one of my favourites. I can see you all doing it. It's so much fun. Okay, so if you go away with nothing else, you've got a bit of clapping and you've got the flipper flapper. Okay, so I'm introducing you to different ones, and what we're going to do towards the end of the workshop is we're going to introduce you to a song as well, and we're going to put a little bit of percussion into the song, and there's an opportunity to freestyle. So, and the beauty of it is that you can freestyle at home, and nobody's going to be too worried about whether you're all in time with me or anything like that, because I'm never in time with myself, so it'll be quite good fun. Okay, so that's your flipper flapper. There's another one that I can't remember what it's called, but you use this part of your arm and this part of your hand. So you I haven't got my teeth in this morning. You put your hand so that you've got the palm facing you. So it doesn't matter which hand. So it's really entirely up to you which hand feels most comfortable. The other hand is going to have, the palm is going to go onto the shoulder, and then the back of your hand is going to just go to the palm of the other one. You're just going to keep moving between the two. So it's nice and relaxed. So if you notice that my wrist is doing some of that work as well. So this one isn't doing anything. This one is just staying there. So it depends where you've got it. If you're really close, you can go really fast. If you're further. So if you've got it on one side, see if you can do it on the other. See how many different sounds you can get out of that. It's great fun. Okay, so we've got a bit of this, we've got a bit of this, and we've got a bit of this. Lovely. How's it sounding? I can see there's a group of you. How's that sounding? Is it sounding good? Yeah, we've got 3 of you there all together, like giving it some of this. Great. Okay, so we've got another one that's really good fun, but it's quite hard to do. So we're going to try and get the fun ones out of the way, and then I'll get the slightly more serious rhythms in a bit. So this one's called the Lawn Mower, and you're going to need your legs and your arms together. So you need, just check which part. So you need your arm here, so this part of your arm, whatever that's called. I'm really having Sunday morning-itis. You're going to bring the palm of your hand down past your bicep, and it's just going to drop onto your thigh. Okay. So you get a really nice satisfying sound. Have a go on the other side. Just finding those 2 parts of your body. And if you've got a nice relaxed hand, then you should be able to get 2 sounds. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're just going to keep overlapping them. So you've just done this and this, but you're just going to do one at a time. So it's arm, leg, 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 arm, leg. And before you know it, you've got your lawn mower. Now, some of the younger people amongst you may not know this kind of lawn mower, but it's the old ones that you push along, and they've got blades that go round and round. It's good fun, isn't it? Okay, so we've now got clapping, we've got flipper flapper, we've got this one, and we've got the lawn mower. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to play with those in a little while when we do the song, and a couple of other ones that might be quite nice. Yeah, just checking the messages. That might be quite nice to add in is using your voice. So some of you may have done this before. So you cup your hands, and you're going to go. Hang on, it's not working this morning. Okay, so what you're doing there is you're just allowing, you're not blowing, you're just allowing the air from your mouth. You're just going to hold it, and then what happens is you create a bit of an air passage there by making a cup in your hand. So what I tend to do, just coming close, is I keep a D, so they're slightly offset, and I keep a D shape, so it's closed at the back, and then at the front I've got that little D shape just at the top of my thumbs there. So when I make that contact, if I get it right, you start to get the air catching. Okay, so that's another fun one to play with. You can get really good at that and play whole tunes, but I'm not amazing at that one. Okay, so let's get into some nice other body percussion movements. We're going to move into this area. So I mentioned about taking pendants off earlier. If you listen, if you just tap gently and just spend a moment, you can hear there's a hollowness in the chest there. So depending how deep you're going with that movement, you can find a nice bass in there. So you could do that on its own. It's just fun because it's got that really lovely resonance to it. So you're not hitting hard again. You might find that because you're new to it, you get a little bit of a redness there, but that will go if you practice. It's just because it's not used to being kind of tapped on. But again, it doesn't need to be hard. It's really relaxed. And you can just play with that sound. You might even want to go into your I used to do that a lot as a child, so that's quite good fun. From there, we're going to take that hand down. So you're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this becomes your bass. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2. Really, really easy. Once you've got it on one side, you might want to try and give it a go on the other side. One side will always do it better than the other. That's the way our brains work. So you're going to just get a little bit more flow into that, so it just comes a bit more, less 1, 2, and you're going 1 and a 2 and a 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 1 and a 2. Let the whole body just get into that jive. Find your rhythm. Okay, from there, what I quite often do to help me keep the beat is I put the other beat in. So when I'm going down onto the, so I have a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but the other hand is just keeping that beat for me in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't do it the other way. So try the other side as well. So that hand that's going down on the knee is doing the in-between. So it's just kind of keeping that beat in there. So we're going to use that as the basis for our song. And another one I'd like to introduce you to quickly before we go into the song is one that you might have seen quite a lot of Appalachian dance teams using if you've watched any of those teams. And it's slightly syncopated. Sort of. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you're going to go 1 with the hand down onto the leg. Bring that hand to meet the other hand. 1, 2. Then the top hand goes down. The other hand comes over, up, down, and down on the side. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Something like that. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So speeding it up. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, da, 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 da. So if you start with the same hand every time, you can really get into that rhythm. Da, 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 da. It's quite hard, so don't worry if you haven't got it. It's one that you can play with further down the line. Just thought it might be quite nice to show you where you can take this to. So what you've got is, you've got your basic clapping. You can do that how you like. You've got that one. You've got your flipper flapper. You've got this one. You've got your lawn mower if you want to put it in there. We've got the bass beat, so we're going to use that one anyway. And you've now got this one as well. So another name that quite often comes up in body percussion is something called pattern tuba. So the whole sort of, I guess what it's known as is pattern tuba. So it depends who's talking to you about it. So pattern tuba is the other name used for body percussion or for hamboning. And like I said, there are lots and lots of different forms of body percussion throughout the world, because before we had instruments, we had our voices and we had our bodies. So we had a way of making music and being together. And it's really sad in a way that we don't have that opportunity to be in a room together, because when that happens and you hear everyone working together, it has a really uplifting feel to it. So yeah, it's a real shame we haven't got that, because the way that the sound moves in the space is very different to what you get in this experience. Anyway, we're going to go into the song. Some of you may have heard it before. It's called Hambone. And the history of the song, the hambone is this part of the leg, basically. So years and years ago, back in the slave times of America, they had quite often the slave owner would throw away, discard their hambone that they'd had for their meal. So they just kind of take off what they wanted, and then they just discard it and just pass it on to onto the slaves on the plantations. Those slaves were like, well, we're going to use this. And what they did was they dipped the bone into a pot of beans and peas, which was their standard staple meal. And they would just dip it in there to give it some flavour. And then they would take it out. They would pass it to the next hut along, to the next shack along, and the next shack, they would do the same. So this would happen all the way down the line. So all the way down the road, this hambone would get dipped into each pot of beans and peas to just give it a bit of flavour. Okay, so the song talks about going down the road and back again. So this is the journey that the hambone has, and it will talk about going in the beans and the peas. And that's what happened, and that's how the song came about. So it goes like this. And it's a call and response song. Hambone, hambone, where you been? Down the road and back again. Hambone, hambone, what you see? I see beans and I see peas. Hambone, hambone. That's it. Okay, so what's going to happen? I won't be able to hear you, but I will be able to see you. So I know I'm kind of not looking at my camera, I'm looking at my screen, but I will be able to see you. So in that gap, you're going to sing it back to me. So each time I sing to you, you sing back. And we're just going to go with this beat. And don't worry so much if you go down on the beat here instead of here, that's fine. It happens and it's okay. If you feel like you can't sing and move with the hands at the same time, that's okay. If you just want to clap or sing or just do that, it really doesn't matter how you do it. So we're going to give it a go. Are we ready? Hambone, hambone, where you been? Your turn. Down the road and back again. Hambone, hambone, what you see? I see beans and I see peas. Hambone, hambone. Right, this is the part where you get to freestyle. So we're going to have a little bit of a pause. You can do whatever you want. And then we'll come back. Hambone, hambone, where you been? Down the road and back again. Hambone, hambone, what you see? I see beans and I see peas. Hambone, hambone. I want to see you all freestyling now. Go for it. Lovely. One more time. Hambone, hambone, where you been? Down the road and back again. Hambone, hambone, what you see? I see beans and I see peas. Hambone, hambone, last time. And up. Amazing, guys. That was really amazing. So you've got some really basic intro now to body percussion. There's quite a lot of opportunities to see body percussion online. So if you go into YouTube at all, there's quite a few people that have done body percussion as their kind of thing. If any of you have ever watched Stomp, that's a really good way of accessing body percussion and using junk for percussive purposes. As I said, Keith Terry and Evie Layden are also absolutely brilliant for this, and there's some guys. I'm trying to think what his name is. It's called Slap Jazz Barber, I think his name is Slap Jazz Barber. So there's some really amazing people out there that are doing this, white and black, that are just kind of using this as a platform for creating new sounds. So enjoy it, make the most of it. Get used to kind of being relaxed in that motion so that you're not going to hurt yourself when you do it. There's lots more that we can do, but it was just an introduction today. And just really enjoy it and have fun with it. And maybe next year we can have an in-person workshop, and we can maybe have a bit longer and have a bit of fun with it. So thank you so much for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed it and got a little something out of it.